Jason Momoa found himself caught in the middle of a massive and relentless storm that swept across Hawaii, placing him and his loved ones in a situation that quickly escalated into something potentially life-threatening, forcing them to react in real time as the severity of the conditions continued to worsen around them. The Aquaman actor later took to Instagram, sharing a video in which he spoke directly to his followers about the terrifying experience unfolding on the island of Oahu. His words carried a mix of urgency, relief, and concern, as he described how the storm had already caused significant destruction. Landslides had begun to tear through parts of the land, uprooting soil and destabilizing the terrain. Trees had been knocked down by powerful winds, scattering debris across roads and neighborhoods, making travel increasingly dangerous. At the same time, rising tides pushed further inland, creating an overwhelming sense of uncertainty as water levels climbed higher, threatening homes and infrastructure. The combination of these elements created a rapidly deteriorating situation, one that led authorities to issue evacuation orders, affecting large numbers of residents across the island. As the storm intensified, Momoa explained that he and his family were staying on Oahu's north shore when conditions took a turn for the worse. What had already been a frightening situation became even more alarming when the power suddenly went out at the place they were staying. The loss of electricity not only plunged their surroundings into darkness, but also cut off a crucial sense of connection and stability. Without power, communication became more difficult, and the risks associated with staying in place grew more serious by the moment. Recognizing the danger, they made the difficult decision to leave, understanding that staying any longer could put them at even greater risk. In his video, Momoa spoke candidly about the experience, sharing both the fear they had felt and the relief that followed once they reached safety. "We're safe now, but there's a lot of people who weren't, so sending all our love," he said, his words reflecting a deep awareness that while he and his loved ones had managed to escape the worst of the storm's impact, many others were still facing unimaginable hardship. His message was not just an update, but also an expression of empathy, acknowledging the broader human toll of the disaster and the many lives that had been disrupted in its wake. Alongside the video, Momoa and his girlfriend also shared a photo on Instagram that showed them embracing each other inside a house. The image captured a quiet, intimate moment that stood in stark contrast to the chaos happening outside. In the caption, they spoke about the devastation caused by the storms over the past several weeks, offering a more reflective perspective on what they had witnessed during this time. Their words painted a vivid and emotional picture of the impact on the community, describing how families had been forced out of their homes, how entire neighborhoods were struggling to recover, and how the most vulnerable members of society were bearing the heaviest burden. They specifically highlighted the plight of unhoused individuals, noting that these neighbors had been hit the hardest by the ongoing conditions. Without stable shelter, the storm's effects became even more dangerous, exposing them to the full force of the elements with little protection. The message served as a reminder of how disasters often deepen existing inequalities, affecting some groups more severely than others. Through their post, the couple encouraged people to look beyond their own immediate circumstances and to reach out to those around them, urging locals to check in on neighbors and ensure that everyone was as safe as possible during such an uncertain time. As the situation continued to unfold, the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency issued a statement on Saturday, warning that the storm was far from over. Officials emphasized that the threat remained ongoing, with the potential for heavy rainfall continuing to loom over the island. This persistent rainfall raised serious concerns about further flooding and additional damage, particularly in vulnerable areas already affected by the earlier phases of the storm. One of the key concerns highlighted by authorities was the risk posed to the Wahiawa Dam on Oahu. With the ground already saturated and water levels continuing to rise, the possibility of strain on the dam became a critical issue. Officials monitored the situation closely, aware that any compromise to the dam could have severe consequences for nearby communities. The warning underscored the seriousness of the conditions and the need for continued vigilance, as residents were urged to remain cautious and prepared for further developments.